All right, this is somebody I have wanted to talk to, this entire time, and I figured that he would be just incredibly busy, and I think that I was right, but we'd like to get him busier. We'll get to that in a little bit. If you don't know this person, this is probably one of the best storytellers in the entire Mariners organization, and not only can he tell a great story, but he can also feed you. So to me, I mean, he is beyond invaluable. Chef Jeremy Bryant, longtime chef of the Mariners, taking some time to visit with us today. And Jeremy, just tell us what you've been up to. I know you've got a catering business. I know that, you've got to keep things going too. I've seen some great tweets and some great Facebook pictures of the food that you've been cooking. What have you been up to the last 2 months?
Well, thank you so much for that awesome introduction. I appreciate it. So this is so crazy. So we had our busiest year for catering coming up, so when in February was hitting, we were booking up. We have an event center over here in Renton, and it holds up to 400 or 500 people. So we had all these massive parties booked, and the season was just getting started. I started doing my negotiating with the Mariners. We were all getting ready, and then the Corona hit, and with everything just went silent. And so, of course, all my employees had to go on to unemployment, and then Kenny, my partner, and I, we were both like, what are we going to do? So we started offering some of our favorite food items, just online. And what we do is we take orders all week long, and people, they order online, and then we have a pickup day on Saturday, and it started off slow, and it's been slowly growing. And then, I've been selling the Ichi wings by the dozen. I'm coming up with, we're going to be doing the Kyle Seager sandwich, and just fun stuff. And what it's really done is it's kept me busy. And the cool thing is we've kept the kitchen really quarantined, because it's literally just Kenny and myself, and we're keeping everybody really safe. And we just come in, we cook all week long, and we're doing fettuccine alfredo, and we did Edgar's famous tomato cream pasta, and we package it up, we vacuum seal it, and we freeze it, and then so it's a whole new business, packaging all this food, and sometimes we didn't realize how hard that could be to package everything, but we're starting to get it down now. We did we fed 200 garbage men recently, and we had to make breakfast burritos, and we did the burritos in a few hours, but packaging everything took like the whole day. It was just like, because we're new to it, but yeah, so everything has changed, but we got the doors open, and we're staying positive and just trying to be happy, and just keep moving forward. So
okay, we're going to get out that info at the end of this video.
Oh, yeah,
but
yeah.
I mean, that's just a great resource for everybody to have, because I love cooking, and there are days when I am tired of my own cooking, and I've been branching out and doing some different things, but every now and then you want somebody else to cook for you, and who better than the Mariners chef, in my opinion.
Thank you.
All right, let's talk about some of those player specialties you've been making. I know that you became just quite the internet sensation in Japan. Was it last year when you finally gave the recipe for the Ichi wings?
Oh, yes. It's so funny, the Ichi wings. It was a total accident, and the way it all came together. And I don't know if you'd like me to share that story on here. That'd be fine. The Ichi wings, it was I know you've probably heard the story many times, Shannon, so I'll tell it again. But so what happened was, before Ichiro joined the team, I got a call in the off season, and they said, hey, you better brush up on your Japanese food, and you better start practicing and learn how to roll sushi. And I was kind of nervous. I hadn't done a lot of it. Of course, I've made teriyaki and stuff like that, but so I practiced for about a month. I was making all these Japanese items, and I was so excited. And then Ichiro comes in the very first day, opening day. I'm so excited to meet him. And the first thing he says to me, he goes, do you have cheeseburger? And I was like, really? You want a cheeseburger? I have all this Japanese food I've been practicing. And he wanted to have something American, and it was just kind of funny. I didn't have a cheeseburger. I didn't have any burgers left. And I had just started marinating these wings, kind of Latin style. And I had some lime juice and some garlic. And so I grabbed the Mr. Yoshida's jug, and I instantly turned them into teriyaki style wings. And I added ginger and oranges and honey and all this stuff. And and Ichiro. So I made these up, and just to be funny, I said these are my famous Mexiyaki wings, and Ichiro didn't know what I was talking about because they were going to be Mexican. Anyway, so I made these wings for him really fast, and he absolutely loved them. And it was funny, and everybody knows by now he's very superstitious. So he went out, he had a good game, and then so the next day he goes, "Please, can I have wings again?" And I was like, "Yeah, you want that same recipe?" And so then we just kept, then the next day and the next day, and just kept going. And then it just became, I knew I needed to have 9 little Ichi. We nicknamed them Ichi wings, and then other players started eating them, so I had to make more. And then, but Ichiro would literally eat those wings before every night game. Every night game that he ever played at Safeco, he had those wings, and he had them at the same time, and he sat in the same chair, and he ate them off the same plate. And it was just this routine that we had. It was pretty crazy. So,
was there ever a situation where you lost the plate or were one Ichi wing short, or was there any panic with the suspicion?
Yes. Oh gosh, there was one. I made a lot of friends down there, and sometimes the security guys, I would say, "Hey, there's an extra plate of there's an extra plate of chicken in the when they're doing their sweep through at the end of the night, nobody's around, and I tell them they can go ahead and eat something." Well, I came in one day and they had eaten the Ichi wings that were for that particular day, and I freaked out, and I was like, "Oh my God, Ichiro's coming in like an hour, and I don't have his wings," and I didn't want to be the guy to ruin his routine. So I took off over to Wajimaya, and I got some wings that they had there, and I raced back and I plated them up. It is the only time Ichiro said, he goes, "Chef Jay, wings, no good today."
Oh boy.
and just because they were different, and nothing bad about the other ones. He knew they were different, but I was just a panic. And I think I did burn them one other time out of 10 years. I had 2 mishaps, but it was just kind of funny. Even when Ichiro got traded to the Yankees, I would still, send him his wings. One of the bat boys would run him over for me, and he allowed him every time he came back to Safeco. It was kind of funny.
I have a similar Ichiro suspicion story and freak out story, and these guys are not just creatures of habit, but they're superstitious, and you never want to break one of those. Never. I mean, that's something that we're conscious of. It's as a reporter, A, I never want to be the story. B, I never want to inadvertently injure a player.
Right.
And C, I don't want to screw up a superstition. And it's invariably, you find yourself in the middle of these darn things sometimes. Right. And there are 2 that come to mind, and one of them is Ichiro. And you remember, he was early on before they had the bat racks and whatnot, but he would meticulously lean his bats up against the bench for batting practice. Everybody else would throw stuff around, but his bats were always very carefully leaned up against the bench. Right. Eventually, John McLaren took a couple of popsicle sticks or tongue dispensers, taped them down, and made a little holder so it could just rest on those on the bench. But before that, there was nothing. So they were just there, and people would come and go and whatnot. And I was relatively young into this. And one day, a bunch of the reporters were down there, and I walked by, and I turned around in a big huff about something, and I knocked over the bats. And Ichiro's, beautiful black lacquered bats just go flying and bouncing and under the bench and, where everybody, where all the chew was and everything else. I'm like, and I panicked. I freaked out. My God, these are Ichiro's bats. You can't let this happen. And so, I kind of scrambled to get him put back up, and the other reporters are just teasing me. He's going to know. We're going to tell him. Trouble, and whatnot. And I got him put back, and a couple seconds later, he walks by, takes one, and walks off. And I'm like, phew. Well, for the next 3 or 4 days, wherever I was in the dugout pregame, he would come over and prop up the bat next to me.
So
he knew. He knew, and I didn't want any part of that bat. And I'm trying to get away from these bats as much as I can. And every time I turn around, there's a bat there. The other superstition story, you'll appreciate this one as well. Where were we? I want to say, I can't remember what city we were in. We were on the road somewhere, and we were in Toronto, and I came down to go to the ballpark. And as I'm about to hail a cab, Brett Boone jumps into a cab and says, "You can come with me." I'm like, "Okay."
All right.
And that's always a little bit uncomfortable. How do you act? What do you say? You don't want to, if they have phone calls, it's not always,
Yeah.
it's not all it's cracked up to be. And then there are
Right.
additional responsibilities, or so I found out. Take the cab to the ballpark, thanks, small talk and whatnot. And that's one of the longer rides there is in baseball too. And that night he has a great game with the bat. And so at the end of the night, we're interviewing him. And as we walk away, he's like, "I'll see you in the lobby, same time tomorrow. You're riding with me again."
Oh, yeah.
And I'm
You're
like,
like,
"Oh,
my God.
fantastic." And this went on for a few days to the point where I'm sitting up in the press box. I'm like, "Please don't get a hit. Please don't get a hit. I don't want to be responsible for this anymore." And of course, as soon as that was over, it was done. And I didn't have to do that again. But yeah, no, that's how they are. Another thing about Ichiro is the cheeseburger was legit. He loves cheeseburgers.
No, I know. He does love cheeseburger. You know what else he loves is corn dogs. So the days he didn't have the wings, he would have 2 corn dogs. And I was like, "Do they got to be anything special?" And they were just the regular old Costco corn dogs, but they had to be made in the oven, not the microwave. And yeah, there's a few times where, the superstitious stuff was a really big deal. And if you go back to 2001, Mark McLemore, he loved to have old-fashioned donuts. And on breakfast days, I always had old-fashioned donuts for him. And he came in a little bit later. He missed them, and he goes, "Hey man, I gotta have my. This is like getting. We're probably at 100 wins or something, or we have been doing good, and everyone's trying to keep the same thing rolling." So if you remember where the Silver Cloud is now, it used to be a gas station. And I ran, man, I ran all the way through the tunnel, and I ran across the street to the gas station, and I got like a Hostess old-fashioned donut, and I ran back, and Mark McLemore was like so happy that I got it to him, and then he had it, and then he went 3 for 4 or something. I mean, the guys are really serious about it. I mean, I could think of Paul Abbott, that whole 2001 year. I mean, every game he pitched, he wanted salmon. And me and my partner Rodney at the time, we were like, "Oh man, we forgot the salmon for Abbott. He's pitching tonight." And I literally called my mom one time to bring me 1 piece of salmon down to the stadium just for Paul Abbott before he pitched that game. I never want to be the guy to screw it up. And I know I messed up Jeff Cirillo. That's the worst one with the carrots. Like, I met Jeff Cirillo at spring training, and the first thing he said to me, he goes, "How you doing? I'm Jeff Cirillo. Please have carrots in my locker every day. That's my thing." And he just wanted like 5 fresh carrots. And every single day, every game he ever played, I had those carrots in there. And then, if you remember, he had 99 straight no errors streak going.
Oh, no.
Oh my gosh! And there was just there was one of those days where like it was like picture day. The whole thing, everything was off. Like everything was off. and I see him go up to bat, and it hit me later after the game started. I was like, "Did I do his carrots?" And I was like, "Oh my God, I don't think I did his carrots." And sure enough, then it was a big, he ended up getting an error that day, and somebody close to him came up to me and said, "Thanks for the carrots." Like at the end of the game, and I was just like, because I feel like that was maybe the first thing that was off. The whole day was off, and it was a controversial error too. It could have went either way, and they called it an error. And I always felt bad about that because I felt like that was my fault. I don't know. I mean, I get caught up.
E on the chef.
I know. Brett Boone blamed me. We had an 11-game winning streak, and I made Mexican food, and he totally blamed me for that loss. But I was like, I said, "Boone, you guys lost the game, and then you ate the food. So how is that my fault?" I don't know.
The logic sometimes is a little cloudy. But things really change. I mean, you talk to guys now, and I've been talking to a lot of guys and doing a lot of interviews, and we're talking about, what they're doing. And you think you had it bad with the healthy stuff before. Wait till we come out of this. A lot of them are getting even more invested in their nutrition right now and everything. I'm sure there is a run on anything grass-fed right now from the guys I've been talking to.
right? And that I've been scrambling to find. I found a purveyor now that has grass fed everything, and I'm gonna work with them as long as we have beef. For now, like all these shortages out there. But yeah, the guys have definitely from the Jay Buhner days where Jay Buhner smacked me in the head one time because I made vegetables. It's like, and then now you go back to the nowadays. I mean, these guys are coming out of spring training and they are ripped and ready, and they are, they're like, "Where's the quinoa?" And I'm like, Jay Buhner would have thrown that at me if I made that for him. So it's definitely different times, and the guys are definitely in tune with the healthy stuff. So I've had to up my game on that for sure.
Well, on top of all the cooking that you do, you're a super fan too. And one of my favorite stories is you picked up, I don't think you kept it, I think you handed it over, but a huge, I think you know where I'm going, home run ball once.
Oh my gosh. It's so funny. When I first think about this, when I got that job, and I was such a big fan from 95, I was a 95er. I got to admit, I mean, I was hooked, and just to land that job and see all these guys in the locker room. I was such a Griffey fan at the Kingdom, and of course, like everybody, Edgar, and so when I got to meet Griffey, from the day I met him, I was like, man, so bad I want to get one of your home run balls. Like I would talk to him about it all the time, and as we got to know each other, I mean, Griffey, he likes to make jokes, and he would say, "Man, you're too chubby. You couldn't even get out there in time," and all this stuff to get the ball right. So I would always say, "Hey, Junior, I'm going to be in right field. Hit me one today," And so it was a long going thing where I was always telling him I was going to get it, and he was always joking, saying, "You'll never get my ball," because I would have to leave the kitchen, leave the roast in the oven and run back or whatever. So, anyways, it was towards the end of the season, and of course I don't remember the date and all that, but I'm sure we could find it. But I was out in the tunnel area, and I heard he got called in. I heard his name, Ken Griffey Jr., and I remember running back, and I said, "Man, what if he hits it? What if?" And remember, everyone was not sure if he was gonna retire, and I was like, "Man, this could be his last home run." And then he hits the ball, and it skitched over the wall. I mean, it just hit the yellow line, and it rattled in between the wall, and I just happened to be out there. I scooted my big old self between the wall and the wall. There was two walls there. Anyway, I scooted back, got the ball. I was so excited. I came running back, and I literally pulled a hammy running back because I ran into the dugout, and I had the ball, and I was like, "Junior, I got that ball." I mean, he had just come around the bases, and everyone's high-fiving and all that. And I'm in the dugout, which I'm not supposed to be, but I didn't care. I was so excited. And I said, "Look at he didn't believe that was it." He goes, "No way. How would you get it?" And it had a little yellow streak because it had sketched off the yellow. And I was like, I was tearing up, I was so happy I finally got one. And then he goes, "What are you going to do with it?" And I was like, "I'm going to give it to you, man." He goes, I was like, "This could be your last one." And when I told him, I said, "I'm going to give you this ball, but even though I want it really bad, I'm going to give it to you. But every time I see you, I want a hug." So whenever I see Junior, I'm like, bring it in. Anyway, but I gave him the ball, and it was such a great opportunity. And I hate saying this, I can say this now, but he ended up coming back the next year, and every at bat, I was like, get a hit, but not a home run, because I wanted it to be the last home run, and he never ended up getting another one, so it was just kind of cool.
Yeah, that's an amazing story.
Great
wow.
Moments. There's so many moments like that being down there, man. Oh, it was so fun.
Where were you for the perfect game? What were you doing during that?
Oh, the perfect game. Get this. So Felix that year, he had been spending a lot of time with his family, and he basically had quit eating breakfast with us. So on all day games, me and my crew get there really early. Guys have their superstitious breakfast, and Felix's wife had to go out of town for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
And so Felix comes in he usually comes in a little bit later, and he goes, "Hey, bro, I need breakfast today." And I was like, "Oh," and so that instantly I was like, "Oh, right, you ready for this?" And I started getting all pumped up, and I was telling all the other cooks, I was like, "He's throwing a no-hitter today. And I'm gonna make him the best breakfast ever." And trust me, I say that every day. And one time I actually got lucky. So I made him we call it the perfect game sandwich now, but it was just an egg McMuffin that was like that big, and it had ham and bacon and sausage and avocado and Felix is funny because when you make his sandwich, he doesn't like it hot. He wants you to let it sit there for about 10 minutes and cool off, and then he likes to eat it. And so I made him a sandwich, and I hate even admitting this, but the game was going along, and we watched the game while we're cooking because you got to time the food. And we got to like the sixth inning before we realized that we're like, oh, and of course we don't ever say the word, we're in the kitchen either. We're just like, he's perfect through six. And then we started getting nervous. And I remember I totally overcooked all the vegetables that day because I was watching the game, and the dinner was all screwed up because especially when it got to like eighth inning, I think we forgot to send the food over for the umpires. I mean, we were a mess because we're back there, and then we knew once it happened, we're all freaking out, and then nobody's gonna eat dinner now, so the whole day was wasted anyway. But it's so fun because I actually have cell phone footage of the beer showers and just the craziness in there, and man, what an incredible time. I absolutely love that being down there, and gosh, I hope we get baseball back. It'd be kind of fun.
I think we can all agree to that without question. Without question. Okay, those are all really big moments, but I'm going to guess your biggest moment that happened at Safeco/T-Mobile, seeing your son sing the national anthem.
Oh my gosh, man. Can you believe that? It's so funny because when Benny has been singing since he was so little, and he's been asking me for years if he could do the national anthem. And we sent an audition tape in when he was like 6, and I don't even know the words still. He was really good at it then, and they said he's still a little too young, So when they let him do it, it was a big deal. It was probably the most nervous I've ever been because Manny Acta, I love him, but he kept the players or the coach and everybody invited me to stand on the field with the team, that was a special moment for me right there. And when Benny walked up, Manny Acta goes, "I hope he doesn't forget the words." And I was like, and it was so funny. In 30 seconds before Benny grabbed the microphone and Seager walks by and gives him a high five, and Benny looks at Seager and goes, "Hey Seager, look how nervous he is," because I was just like freaking out. It was funny. So everyone was making fun of me, but yeah, like it gets no higher than that to see your son up there singing that. And then it was just incredible. It was such a cool moment for me. Super proud dad moment for sure.
For those who don't know, Jeremy's son is Benny Bryant and Benicio Bryant, and he went very far at America's Got Talent. Just incredibly, incredibly talented singer and songwriter. What is he up to these days?
Oh my gosh, man! So get this. So he went very far. He got into the top 10 on America's Got Talent, and that was pretty amazing right there. So the show and Saul came up to Benny and he said, "Hey, I want to have lunch with you and your family tomorrow." So we ended up going to have lunch, and then so Benny was signed to a record deal by Simon Cowell, which just blows your mind right there. And then so recently, Arista Records has teamed up with Benny, so he's literally been recording an album from his bedroom over Skype and Zoom calls. And so what they're gonna do is they call like really fancy big name producers. They call Benny, they make a song, and then they're gonna just bank all these songs. And then when we're able to fly again, go down and so he's staying busy, and things have just been so crazy, in a good way for that. So yeah, we're really proud of him.
So you've got stuff going on in the kitchen, and then you've got a recording studio in the kids' room, and this sounds like
it's just crazy. It's crazy. I feel like I've gotten busier since the virus has come, but yeah, we're definitely busy, and my daughter and I have been making home movies, and I got to send you our latest one where I'm a BMX stunt rider. So yeah, we're definitely staying busy at the Bryant household for sure.
Be careful.
Yeah, I know. I did wipe out on my last video for sure.
Oh my gosh, don't do that. Don't be doing that. Hey, one of the neat things, and this is kind of more the recent years, is the Seeger sandwich has kind of turned into like a rite of passage for young ball players. It's like
Yeah.
anytime somebody comes up and I interview them, somehow that Seeger sandwich and finally getting the Seeger sandwich comes into that conversation.
Right.
It's right up there with the first hit. I'm not kidding. That's
Oh, it's so crazy.
an
That's so
item
cool
of
to hear. You
pride
just gave me
for these.
goosebumps.
What
That's
is
so
the Seeger
cool.
sandwich and how did it come to be?
So okay, so the Seeger sandwich, and you know, it's always fun for me to get a young player because you know we have so many more resources, and you know, in the minor leagues, I'm sure they get good food and everything, but in the big leagues, it's all you can eat, all whatever you want, whatever we can create, and the players get pretty excited about that. And so when Seeger came up, I had just marinated our. We have this famous soy lime cilantro chicken marinade, and it's a popular dish that we do all the time. So I was like, Seeger, I'm gonna make you a good sandwich, and it's just a really nice, soft roll, and it has Swiss cheese and cheddar and bacon, and then of course the chicken that is the key. You got to marinate it overnight and all this, you know. But then we do our famous chipotle sauce that we make right there in the clubhouse, and Seeger, he just absolutely loved it. And Seeger likes to add his own barbecue sauce, so that's on him. But so we, you know, then it's a nice, it's a really pretty looking sandwich. You know, Chef Mike has taken it over for me, and he makes them like, you know, it looks like magazine food artwork. It's just amazing. So you know, and Seeger, you know, another superstitious thing. I think Seeger, you know, he got a couple hits, and he's like, I'm gonna have that again, and then I'm gonna have it again. So we just started calling it the Seeger because he was having it every day. And then, you know, guy sitting next to him goes, "Hey, I want a Seeger," and then it spread, and it's become the most popular sandwich. I mean, we probably make 40 Seegers a day, and you
Wow.
know, and then some guys will like Vogelbach will come back and go, let me get a Seeger with beef. I'll have it in a tortilla wrap, or you know, there's all these variations. You know.
In other words, a sandwich.
It's a sandwich, yeah. That's the funny thing. It's always a sandwich. But do you ever hear the story about the hits and the grits with Seeger?
Yes.
The grit story. Oh
yeah.
man. So
In fact, I think that was one of my interviews that came from, and that was awesome.
So. Yeah.
That was
oh
a
my
breakfast thing, wasn't it?
It was a breakfast thing, and Seeger was having a rough go. He had, you know, he was in a slump there for a minute. And, you know, we get really goofy in the morning. I remember most of us have just only slept like 4 hours. So, and I'm always playing music. And Seeger was like, come on, Jay, you got to make me something. And he was, every day he was eating these grits that were it was literally water and grits, and like nothing else. And I said, man, you need to put something in there. I said, let's. And so he was like, what do you got for me? And it's so funny. I have the video I'll show you. And Seeger's like, he's all hyped up. And I'm like, you know, okay, I got to come up with something. So I grabbed some bacon and I chopped up the bacon, and the music's going and I'm dancing. I'm like, you ready for this? You ready? And you know how Emerald would always go, bam, you know. So I had this pile of bacon, and I was like, you ready to get some hits today? And I do my little breakdance move, and I throw the grits in there, and Seeger's like, oh, that was awesome. And anyway, he started cheering, and then we just made a big, funny, goofy thing about it. Well, of course, he hit 2 home runs that day, or something. It was something like that. And so he was like, "Hey, bro, there's hits in those grits now." So every breakfast we would, you know, the dances got a little bit more elaborate. You know, I'm doing the moonwalk and I'm doing my robot and all this stuff. And then I throw the bacon in the grits, and then he would have them, and then other players started doing it again because you know people started believing this stuff. And they even made a T-shirt, "Hits in the Grits" T-shirt. Oh gosh! And so it went for a couple seasons where I had to do a dance. Trust me, I was running out of my dance moves. My breakdancing days were coming back to me. So funny. We have good times in that kitchen, I tell you.
I wholeheartedly endorse. I love cheese grits. It's one of my favorite things, and it's like instant happiness if I'm somewhere and there are cheese grits or shrimp and grits. And
right.
Yankee Stadium, their press dining room, fantastic cheese grits every Sunday morning. Just saying.
Oh, really? Oh, that's so funny. Yeah,
something that I look forward to when we're there.
Yeah. Come
Well,
on down.
Jeremy, we could do this for hours,
Oh,
and we
yeah.
might need to. And then we might need to have a cooking segment too, and then we could have a musical. We could do an entire variety
We
show
could
with
do it
you
all.
and your
Yes.
family. And I think and your daughter could produce it, and she could have what are the little video clips on Saturday Night Live when they do them
Yes.
independent? Okay, we're going to do it. We're going to put together an hour-long show. It's going to be fantastic. But
Oh, we
I
can
want
do
to
it.
thank you so much. It's so much fun. But most importantly, what is cooking this week, and how do people get it?
Okay, so you just go online and go to raincitykatering.com/shop. And we have all kinds of different stuff on there, but we're doing a featured dinner tonight. We're doing a Caribbean chicken with coconut rice and lemon bar and nice salad. And yeah, just go on there and let us help you do some cooking. There's ribs, and I got the Ichi wings on there.
Yeah.
So, and we're just coming up with stuff every week, just staying busy, and people come down, and we have a nice little pickup area where, we put the food out on the table and you just grab your order. You don't have to get out of your car. It's kind of nice. So yeah, come on down. That'd be great. It's try the Ichi wings.
And I've had the cooking, and you are legit. There's no question about it.
Thank you so much.
Jeremy, thanks for taking care of all the Mariners. Hope you get a chance to do that again sometime real soon.
Me too. Thank you so much, Shannon. I appreciate it.